Hey everybody, Oli here for the weekly news recap, the 1st to the 7th of January 2024. So, let's get into it. Um, right, so it's the first week of 2024. Most video game studios are really only getting back up to speed now, but that doesn't mean there isn't a whole bunch of bullshit going on in the video game industry anyway. Start with our updates. Not many updates this week. First up on the mobile games front, World of Demons to be delisted from Apple Arcade on January 18th. Existing downloads no longer playable starting February 1st. So there's two things here. One, World of Demons is a really kind of gorgeous looking game. And rather annoyingly, there is no trailer for it. Hang on. Maybe they have a trailer here I can show. No? No trailers. Screens. Trailers. Here we are. Trailers. Soundtrack. Launch. Let's go with that. Alright. Oh my god, go away. Why are you like this? Okay, if I'm very fast, I might be able to just play it on YouTube. Okay. There we go. Anyway. Alright. World of Demons is a Platinum Games mobile game. And it has, really strong art style. It's looking like it was going to be a really interesting game. Then obviously it came out on mobile, which meant most people weren't all particularly interested in it. Also, it was stuck on iOS. Means Android players couldn't play it. Like myself, I don't have an iPhone. As you can see, the art style is Okami, which is kind of why I was super into it. I was like, please bring this to PC or something, because I really want to play it. But no, it was an iOS thing. It's Apple Arcade exclusive. Is no longer going to be on Apple Arcade. It is in fact no longer going to be available at all. You can't play it outside of Apple Arcade. You can't download it separately. Can't buy it separately or anything like that. So there's kind of two things going on here. One, there's maybe some hope that it will end up on PC at some point and maybe console at some point as well. The reason it was a mobile game is because I believe there are some gacha elements to it. There are other yokai, monsters, Pokemon, effectively, that kind of accompany you in battle at the same time. And I think that was part of the microtransaction elements to the game. Anyway, the second thing is Platinum Games is sort of changing direction now. Hideki Kamiya is gone, and the reasoning he gave that he was leaving was because the company was going in a direction he didn't want to continue in. And it's possible that this is a casualty of that, because Kamiya was also pretty heavy into Okami when it was developed. He was creative director, I think. This is obviously heavily inspired by Okami's art style. Not even heavily inspired, it's literally Okami's art style. So this is probably a casualty of that, but it's also a example of relying on subscription services. So like Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, etc. Games can just disappear. And if the game is exclusive to that subscription, it disappears forever. Game preservation and so on. It's as far as I am aware, this is the only game that I can think of that is both exclusive to a subscription service and has also disappeared from that subscription service and is completely unplayable otherwise. It being unplayable, even if you have downloaded it, obviously there must be some sort of online check-in thing that prevents you from playing it, which is obviously an issue with always online video games. That means once the servers disappear, the game is unplayable. Not great for game preservation and so on. Anyway, there's some potentially hopeful news that it will... Not news. Hope, really, that maybe it will get ported to PC or something. I doubt it, to be honest. Platinum Games are not... doesn't seem like they're going down this route of these kind of small character action games. They want to go in a different direction, according to their current CEO, at least. But maybe. It might happen. Who knows? Anyway. Delete that, delete that. Okay. Elsewhere, IGN has a fairly lengthy Dragon's Dogma 2 gameplay video showing off a lot of the different character classes and how they'll handle in combat scenarios. Rather annoyingly, the audio in this trailer is very IGN. It's very like a commercial kind of thing, and I find it grating to listen to the guy narrating it. So I'm having to listen to it mute. It kind of takes away a lot of it, but there we are. But yeah, it's a pretty lengthy, it's like 20 minutes or something. 18, almost 19 minutes of Dragon's Dogma 2 gameplay. So if you're interested and you can put up with the guy's audio, that's there for you. I can't really, his voice just grates on me. It's just so commercial. I don't like it. Anyway, moving on. Alright, we're back to the Epic Games thing. So I had stopped doing the Epic Games thing for the last couple of weeks because they were bringing out a new game every day. And basically, whatever I said was going to be out of date. But now they're back to doing it once a week because Christmas is over. So Guardians of the Galaxy is the current free Epic game this week. It's also on PlayStation Plus if you have that. As you can see from all of the awards, or the rankings rather, ratings? Fuck's sake. Critical reviews, that's the word. It's pretty good. I haven't played it myself, so I don't know, but it's like a party-based action-adventure type thing. Not sure how well it plays. I think it's like a four-character party thing, and like Groot and Rocket, I think, count as one character. I think that's the way it works. Anyway, from what I've seen, critical reception, it's pretty decent. Even if it has some frame rate issues on some other platforms. Also, something to keep in mind, it has a licensed soundtrack, so if you're going to stream it, you're going to run into issues there. Alright, moving on to monthly things. Xbox Game Pass for at least the first half of January has been revealed. So we're looking at Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is a substantial game. I think it is just the core game, so I don't think any of the expansions are coming with it. Close to the Sun, I've never heard of. Figment, I think, is a point-and-click thing. Resident Evil 2 Remake, fantastic game. It was very close to being my game of the year when it came out. A baseball game, okay, who cares? Those Who Remain is a first-person horror type thing that's not very scary. We Happy Few is, unfortunately, what seemed like it was going to start out to be an amazing game. Turned into a kind of not great sandbox kind of cat and mouse stealth game type thing, which it didn't turn out to be amazing, to be honest. And Hell Let Loose, I think, is just a big multiplayer army game, but I'm not sure. Close to the Sun, Deep in International Waters, Tesla's Helios stands still. What? Tesla has a new thing? An unbound utopia for scientific research. That can't be that Tesla. Rose Archer steps aboard in search of her sister. Quickly discover not all is as it seems. Use your wits to guide Rose. Oh, okay, it's like a puzzly adventure-y type thing. Overcome dangers unknown to understand the fate of Helios and its inhabitants in a narrative-driven. Okay. Surprised I haven't played that. Alright, I'll look into Close to the Sun. Hell Let Loose. Squad up, take to the battlefield, World War II, ever-expanding first-person shooter. Join other players online, 100-player battles, that's what I say. It's a giant army game, that's what I thought it was. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there's no mention if any of the expansions are with it, so I assume it's just the core game. So yeah, you're a Viking when they invaded England during the Dark Ages, to deal with that shit. Figment, action-adventure game, invites you to explore a unique, surreal universe filled with music, multi-layered narrative. Sounds like a platformer. Okay. Super Mega Baseball. Okay, it's like arcadey style baseball, which might actually be fun. We Happy Few makes a return to the game. Okay, so it's been on Game Pass before. Drug-fueled retro-futuristic city in alternative 1960s England is an action-adventure game in which you hide, fight, and conform your way out of a delusional, joy-obsessed world. The idea is you're dropped into these kind of maps. Everybody's high on this drug called joy, which makes it so that everything they see looks fun and happy and great, and they don't realize that everything is this horrible, malnourished dystopian thing. and you're trying to get from point A to point B. And, you know, you can either hide and stealth your way through it, you can fight your way through it, don't do that, won't get very far, or conform your way, which is to take joy deliberately and sort of deal with the consequences. Resident Evil 2 Remake is a remake of the original Resident Evil 2. Fantastic game in its own right. Resident Evil 2 Remake is also incredible. It's an over-the-shoulder, third-person shooter, survival horror thing. Amazing. Those who remain, all the lights go out, the embers of darkness are stoked to see. Yeah, it's a first-person survive. I'm not sure if it's like a cat and mouse type horror game, which I don't particularly like. All I remember is the small amounts of gameplay that I've seen of it. It didn't seem particularly compelling to me. Anyway, Valhalla and Resident Evil 2 are amazing for Game Pass. Just because Valhalla has so much content, you're not gonna be finishing it anytime soon. It's like 100 hours or something. And Resident Evil 2 is an amazing game. Ghost of the Sun sounds interesting, so I'm gonna look into that. And Figment seems like it's a platformy type thing. That's what it sounds like. So yeah, top row pretty good. Bottom row, maybe for some people it might be interesting. Anyway, unfortunately though, it is now time to talk about the worst part of video games. Video game industry. So, Bobby, we're still not done. We thought we'd be done with Bobby, but we're not. Although, this is somewhat of a good thing. We have the cathartic airing of grievances now that Bobby is gone, and there's no fear of reprisal from the board or from himself, and so on. So, Bobby's decisions made our games worse. I'm surprised, honestly, really. Anyway, this is from a former Call of Duty developer, Christina Pollock. Bobby's decisions made our games worse. It came out that he threatened to have an employee killed in an all-hands meeting. They spoke up and demanded for him to be fired. Now, luckily, they were a senior dev at the time. They were pretty well insulated and protected from it, but a junior dev wouldn't have been so fortunate. So the first half of this article is from Christina Pollock's point of view. It's basically saying that, you know, we shouldn't allow another person like Bobby to become so untouchable and to like speak up in the all hands meeting and so on, particularly senior developers who will somewhat be protected from any reprisals. You're not going to have junior devs talking up about this kind of thing because they won't be protected. So it's up to senior people with actual, you know, not power, but with protection to talk about these kind of things and ensure we don't get another Bobby. Elsewhere, we had community manager Andy Belford, who's community manager for Blizzard. When we planned Overwatch 2's Steam launch, which was famously review bombed, my team warned months in advance that we were going to be review bombed, which they were. We begged for more information, more details, more resources, anything to help us with the anticipated influx. All were flatly denied. Moderation of Steam was put on the community team, which is not something the community team is supposed to be doing. Despite my refusal to want to expose members of my team to that level of toxic content or posts. When asked whose decision it was to launch on Steam with no help, who do you think? It was Bobby, of course. At the end of everything, player experience and employee experience meant nothing to the C-suite and executive leadership. It was all about that quarter's earning calls. Shocked, honestly. But yeah, this is more like a call to people to say, I just don't want to see Bobby on the screen. It's more just a call to people to say, don't let Bobby happen again. Speak up. You know, use whatever leverage you have to ensure another Bobby doesn't happen. Anyway, that was last year. Moving into this year, Sony are being shitheads. So, I know, again, be surprised. Sony fined 13.5 million euros by French antitrust regulator. So, Autorité de Concurrence, or de la Concurrence, has accused the company of abusing its dominant position in the market by restricting third-party PlayStation 4 controllers. So, the issue here is a bunch of third-party manufacturers for Sony peripherals, particularly the DualShock 4. Suggested that Sony had added counterfeit measures into the PS4 around 2015 that caused controllers to randomly disconnect. Obviously, that means that the manufacturers themselves would suffer from issues of quality, you know, loss of... what's the word? people would think their product was bad. I can't think of the word now, but you know, that kind of thing. Whereas it wasn't their issue, it wasn't their problem at all. It was Sony deliberately making it so that third-party controllers just wouldn't work properly. And they've been fined now for like 13.5 million. That caused third-party controllers to regularly disconnect from the console. Third-party manufacturers faced difficulty in joining its licensing program as well, which alleged that Sony refused to communicate whatever the terms and criteria were for doing so. They were like, lol, apply, and we'll say yes or no. Obviously not great. That probably means that they were, well, speculation that they may have been expecting a little under-the-counter monetary deal for that as well. I doubt it, to be honest. That would be dumb of them if they did, because it would be so easy to track. So that's probably not true. But anyway, they certainly weren't forthcoming on what was required to become an official licensed partner of Sony. Now, that's not exactly new for Sony. They are pretty bad about informing people about what's required, or even enforcing things for their licensed people. So, anyway, they've been fined now. So it's surely everything will work out fine. I'll just eat another fine instead. Speaking of fines, Nexon fined $8.9 million for misleading MapleStory players. So this is coming out of Korea. So the Korea Fair Trade Commission. I'm sure it has a proper Korean name that I would not be able to pronounce. Anyway, Nexon has been fined $11.6 million. I think it's when that Korea use? I'm not sure, but it translates to about $9 million for allegedly neglecting to inform customers about probability changes to in-game items in MapleStory. So the thing in the MapleStory online game, you buy loot boxes, effectively, that have random shit in them, and you're expected to get, you know, you have the probability rate of a particular item dropping out of that loot box. The issue was that Nexon were changing that probability rate, making it lower, of course, and not telling anybody. And in Korea, it is required that you publish the probability rates and that they be accurate. So the issue here is that they were adjusting them down, in some cases adjusting it to 0, and not telling anybody. So this is one item that you're pulling for, right? And you think, the website says there's like a 0.1%, because it's always something stupidly small. There's like a 0.1% chance that this could appear. So I'll put my entire life savings into getting this random digital item that will disappear when the game does. I mean, I do it too, so I can't exactly blame people. I want my waifus as well. Anyway, they were adjusting it so that there was literally no chance this item would appear, and then not telling anybody. So yeah, fine. 8.9 million. It's not written in the article what their revenue is for the day, or for the what their revenue is for the year. So to see if that's just a slap on the wrist or if that's actually significant, who knows? However, Nexon has been fined previously for the exact same thing, but in a different game, in a game called Sudden Attack in 2018. Same deal. They were fucking about with the loot box probabilities and not telling anybody, and they were fined again. These numbers have to be wrong. Alright, so they're saying they were fined 944 million yen, which is only $722,000, and then 11.6 million yen is somehow 8.9 million? So there's a decimal point missing somewhere. Maybe this is 116 million. No, that would still be wrong. Something very wrong. Let's assume the dollar values are correct, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Alright, horror game studio shuts down due to cyber attacks and poor sales. I think it was mostly for poor sales. So, one of the worst games of last year. Stray Souls, the studio behind it, Jukai Studio, has closed down just 2 months after the game has launched. They're alleging it is because of Stray Souls' abysmal reception and sales. Probably not surprising, it did not sell well. The studio itself is really just 2 people, and then they have a bunch of people contracted out. So there's not going to be a significant number of layoffs here. It's just 2 people who were the founders of the company anyway. and who would have taken on most of the risk in the first place. So that's in one way fine. I mean, it's not great for anybody to lose their job, but at least it is somewhat mitigated here. One interesting thing though is that their publisher is Versus Evil, and as we learned last it might have been 2 weeks ago, Versus Evil were also shut down ahead of Christmas. Through no fault of their own, their parent company tinyBuild lost a lawsuit, had to pay out quite a bit of money, and as a result, decided to shut down the company they had the lawsuit with. That's some great carriage of justice right there. Anyway, but since their publisher is Versus Evil, I would imagine they had lost any kind of, help or safety net or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. One thing to point out, though, is that like the budget for Stray Souls clearly wasn't very high, or if it was spent poorly. They did contract Akira Yamaoka to do their music, the Silent Hill composer, amongst many other games, but that's probably the one they're best known for. That's a lot of money to spend. Like I can't imagine they were cheap, and it's clear it wasn't spent on the game anyway. Yeah, maybe you should have kept some of that money just in case your game didn't sell well. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of shitheads, Square Enix's president says it will be aggressive in applying AI. Great, cool. Square Enix considers it's swirling down the toilet bowl. In the short term, our goal will be to enhance our development productivity with AI. Anyway, this is just a reminder that Square Enix is not the Square Enix that you remember. It's full of C-suites chasing trends. Allegedly, the AI will be used as part of development procedures for doing like NPC dialogue lines and stuff like that. So expect to have really horrible NPC dialogue in the future, I guess, in Square Enix games. And in the ridiculousness thing, Star Citizen has another ridiculous bullshit thing going on. So Star Citizen, still not done. We're moving into like its 20th year of development or something ridiculous now. Not content with having raised $650 million for a game in development for close to, well, way more than a decade now. Maybe it's 15 years it's been in development. I don't know, it's a long time anyway. It's now selling a DLC for $46,000. What the fuck? Or as Matt Jarvis points out here, more than the average mortgage deposit you need to buy a house. Put that in for digital shit. That the game isn't even done. It's not even close to being done. Okay, but hey, even if you did want that, you actually have to pay $1,000 already before you even are allowed to buy this $46,000 DLC. You'll need to spend $1,000 on Star Citizen to even be allowed to buy the Mega Collection in the first place, as it's locked behind the game's Chairman's Club, which only grants access to those who spent at least $1,000 through its store. What the fuck is this game? It's never coming out. Anyway, the bundle is like you get a bunch of ships and cosmetics and loads of other things. What are you doing? Anyway, moving on. Alright, elsewhere in the video game community, we have really someone who isn't old enough to be a boomer, but they're very boomer mentality. Anyway, Sky News presenter criticized for telling teenage Tetris champ to go outside. So this is news that a 13-year-old Tetris player is the first known human being to actually beat the original Tetris on the Nintendo. So if you're not familiar, typically you play Tetris until you die, right? It gets so fast and so furious that you just can't keep up with the game anymore, and eventually you just, the Tetraminos stack up and that's the end of it, you're done. But technically, no, there is a way to keep going if you're fast enough, and at the time, before Willis Gibson managed to do it, it was only a computer could do it. You'd have to use a tool-assisted software to make it work, so that you could keep up with the game. But you can, in fact, get to the end of Tetris. There isn't like a credit screen or anything. What happens is just the game crashes. It's now going so fast that it can't even keep up with itself. And that is effectively the end of Tetris. It's never been done by a human before. It's a pretty, it's a pretty incredible feat. But no, Sky News presenter instead decided to say, as a mother, I would say just step away from the screen, go outside, get fresh air. Beating Tetris is not a life goal. Wow. One, fuck you. Just in general. But also, he's 13. Obviously, it's not a life goal. And also, one, he's achieved it, so it's not a goal at all anymore. And then two, he's 13. He has his entire life still ahead of him. But the whole go outside, get some fresh air. You can play Tetris on, Game Boy, on your phone, on a bunch of other things. Anyway, she was roundly panned by basically everybody. Head of communications, UKIE, the games industry lobbying group. If it was my child, if it was, say, a child chess champion, I imagine she would have had a very different thing to say, even though they both are effectively the same thing. It's still a puzzle game that you typically play indoors. Also from Jimmy Bowers, Sumo Digital's community manager. As a dad, safe to say I would be pretty, proud of my son if they had managed to do that. This comment is so outdated and in such poor taste to basically punch down to a child, which is just, it's so boomer. It's the level of, oh, you kids on your Nintendos all day. She's only in her 50s and she's pulling this shit. Do better. Do better. And then, anyway, as she was saying, speaking as a mother, Willis Gibson's own mother said he does plenty of things outside of Tetris, but also, they're proud of him for the achievement, and they've said it wasn't actually that difficult to say okay to them trying to do this. It was actually more difficult to find a CRT TV, which is true. This is very difficult to find a functional CRT TV these days. Anyway, still have to put up with that shit. Do better, Sky News. Okay, Kotaku, why are you like this? It's been doing this for a while now, and I don't know what goes on. It loads the page, and then blanks it to white, and then loads the page again, and I don't know what the deal is. I assume it's a Cloudflare kind of thing, but it's weird. Anyway, Daggerfall Unity is finished after 10 years of development and works perfectly. So Daggerfall Unity is effectively a remake of Daggerfall inside the Unity engine. If you're not familiar, Daggerfall is the Elder Scrolls 2, so the second Elder Scrolls. It is also by far the biggest. It's hilariously, here we see the map of Daggerfall, and that tiny square in the middle is Skyrim. That's how big Daggerfall is. Now, it should be pointed out that you can't actually walk from point A to point B in Daggerfall. You kind of jump around the map. But what you're not seeing here is that locations are little tiny dots that you have to click on. And those locations themselves are quite large. So even with that taken into account, it still dwarfs Skyrim's map considerably. Anyway, the fan-made rebuilding of the entire vast world in Unity has reached its 1.0 release and is, of course, free. That is naturally because Daggerfall itself is actually free. Bethesda released it for its 15th anniversary, 15-year anniversary. They said, hey, you know what? Daggerfall's free now. Knock yourselves out. And then I think a couple of years ago, it made it free on Steam as well. So if you wanted to, you could go play the Steam version now for free. And if you want to play the Daggerfall Unity thing, you'll need that version anyway. And you can download this mod, which is effectively a mod for the game, and play Daggerfall if you really want to. It's an old game. Just bear that in mind. Just bear in mind, it's an old game. It's, it's gonna hurt. Anyway, I'll leave Dragon's Dogma to play there in the background. Anyway, that's your news for the 1st to the 7th of January, 2024. So we have World of Demons being end of serviced on the mobile games front. Kind of hoping it'll make a port or jump to console at some point, but I'm not holding my breath for that. Gameplay here, we can see of Dragon's Dogma. IGN has a fairly lengthy video up there about that. It's about 20 minutes or so of the different 4 different character classes, just showing some combat gameplay and how it works. Guardians of the Galaxy is the Epic Game free game this week. Over on the industry bullshit side, we have some people speaking up about how bad Bobby was on the business end, behind closed doors and so on. Hopefully we'll see more of that, because I think the more news we can get out about that, maybe the more pushback we can get on C-suite and executive decisions that are really detrimental to the games industry as it stands, and they need to be taken out of the decision-making side of things. Anyway, elsewhere, Sony and Nexon being fined for being shitheads. Sony for deliberately disconnecting third-party controllers. Nexon for changing the probability outcomes of various loot boxes and not telling anybody. And in fact, changing them all the way down to 0% outcome, which is obviously not great. See, this guy has noped out of that fight with the Cyclops. Yeah, it's a good move. I would have too. Oh no, he's not noping out. He's getting an explosive. Some quality stuff right there. Well, that's the end of that Cyclops. Oh my god, you son of a bitch. Oh no. Is he still going? He's still going. That didn't even do a whole lot of damage to him. He's just knocked out. Anyway. Square Enix going all in on AI. It's extremely disappointing, considering the games that are doing well for them have nothing to do with AI. And everyone else seems to have backed off the AI thing. Except for Microsoft, who are also going all in on it, but don't have anything new to say about that exactly, other than they're doing it. I'm sure there were other things. Daggerfall Unity, if you want to check it out. Daggerfall's a good game, just keep in mind, it's old. Old game, gonna hurt. Gonna hurt to play it. Anyway, moving on, so we'll move into our channel update portion. It's here, so here is the game card for 2024. This is the thing I like to do for all the games that I'll be playing in 2024. These are the Let's Plays that I have in mind for the year. That this changes constantly, so don't take this as, you know, this is very much not set in stone. But this is the plan. So coming up soon, we'll have Inscription. Inscription will be replacing Raincode whenever that's finished. Final Fantasy IV will replace Final Fantasy III when that's done. We have Resident Evil that I'm planning to start soon. I was supposed to start it this week, but I didn't get around to it, so I'm going to be starting it next week instead. Anyway. So, currently being played on the channel right now, we have Final Fantasy III, the Pixel Remaster. This is part of my Healthy Plays Final Fantasy series, where I'm trying to work my way through all of the Final Fantasies. I've never played Final Fantasies 1 to 6. So I'm starting with those because I've never played them. I want to, you know, play through them and see the series that I really like. Final Fantasy is one of my favorite series. This is maybe my actual #1 favorite one. Hard to tell. Working my way through it. We're in the middle of 3 at the moment. Don't think we'll finish it in the next stream, so it's probably the stream after we might do it. But anyway, Final Fantasy 3. Moving on. Master Detective Archives Raincode. We have our next case. We found a murder in a clock tower. That seems to have been done by a supernatural serial killer called the Nail Man. There's some things at the site that suggest it's a copycat, and it's not actually a supernatural thing. It's just some guy pretending to be a supernatural thing. But we're getting to the part where we're like starting to put the pieces together and possibly solving that case. We have the wider case, of course, of that we're in this lockdown city that's overruled by a big mega corporation. It's been locked out from the rest of the world for a very long time. We've managed to stealth our way in, and we're going to see, you know, what's going on and what's the deal and how shit is it to live there. Very, as it turns out. Anyway, that's on Wednesday as part of the Fully Fable series. Thursday, as I said, we were meant to start Resident Evil, the 2002 version. Although strictly speaking, this is the HD remaster of the 2002 version, so it's actually like 2012, I think, is when it was remastered. Anyway, The original Resident Evil game got a remake on GameCube in 2002. This is the HD remaster of that remake. So it's the Resident Evil remake remaster, or E. Anyway, yeah, we were meant to start playing this on Thursday, but I was so tired. I just didn't feel up to it. So we're gonna start it this Thursday instead. This is part of my Resident Evil series playthrough, which I am doing, and again, it's the same sort of thing. I'm playing through all of the Resident Evils. Unlike Final Fantasy, I have played pretty much all of the Resident Evil games anyway. The only one I have not played is Resident Evil 0, which we will get to after this one. And on Saturdays, we are currently playing through My Friendly Neighborhood. We started playing it yesterday. It's very fun. It's a very fun game. It's kind of a first-person survival horror, but the monsters are Muppets. And they ragdoll like crazy whenever you knock them out. It's just very funny. I am seeing some areas I haven't been to yet, and I've seen some areas I have been to here. So I think we're about halfway through the game, maybe a bit less. Haven't been there yet. I don't like the look of that one. Oh, I haven't been there yet. Oh dear. Anyway, we'll be going there at some point, I guess. That just show you the solution to the dice puzzle? Anyway, we'll be getting there soon. We're working our way through that on Saturday. And then something I'm going to be... So this will be an on and off thing, but I'm going to highlight some games that I am playing currently off stream. So I'm currently playing Valkyrie Elysium. I finished it. I'm kind of working my way up to the true ending now, which requires you to find a bunch of collectibles and stuff. We did play a little bit of this as part of my Foley Plays Games a Bit series, which is where I play newly released games for about 2 or 3 hours or so. Just one-shot things. Anyway, that's the ending, I think. Anyway, Valkyrie Elysium is a action-adventure somewhat reboot of the Valkyrie Profile series, which was a turn-based RPG series from Square Enix. This has gone into, as you can see, more of a character action type thing. What I will say, and it's something I had an issue with when we played it, as, you know, Foley Plays Games a Bit, the combat is really good, but almost everything else about it is it's just sort of okay. Sorry, just seeing that move. It's like her ultimate super move. Anyway, now that I've gotten to the end of the game, I've had a lot more time in the combat sections of it as well. The combat is very good. There's some things that they could chew and change to make it a little bit stronger, a little bit more interesting. But you have, you know, lots of different weapons you can swap through. The weapons all have lots of different combos. The combos are shared across different weapons, so you don't need to like learn the different things that different weapons do. Like Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry has, of course, tons of different combos and tons of different weapons, and every weapon handles very differently. Which for some people is a hurdle. I kind of like it. Some people it's a hurdle. This is a little bit more simplified in that practically every weapon has the same combo. It just does something different. So that's all you have to learn. You don't have to learn a different combo input sequence or anything like that. You have your assist characters that you can summon in to assist you. Sometimes you can set it so that when you perform a particular combo, your assist will come out and continue the combo as well. You can summon them just directly to help you out. You have a bunch of different magical abilities that also chain into your combos. It's actually really well done. Some things I think they should change. You can only take 2 weapons with you into combat. Add more. You should be able to take all of them in, really. One other thing is you can't swap between weapons mid-combo, which would be good. You can do that in Devil May Cry. Again, the budget for this game would have been substantially less than what they would have got for Devil May Cry, so it's understandable that that kind of stuff isn't available. This is more of a kind of if they get the chance to do a sequel, which hopefully they do, because I am liking what I'm seeing here, but it's clear they were not given a substantial budget. There's a lot of reuse of enemies, there's a lot of reuse of areas, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it's a game overall, it's okay. If you just isolated the combat, it's actually pretty good. That's my feeling on it. Anyway, moving on though. So this is our schedule. for next week. Tuesday, Final Fantasy 3 as part of my Final Fantasy series playthrough. Master Detective Archives Rain Code on Wednesday as part of Fully Fables. Resident Evil HD Remaster as part of my Resident Evil series playthrough on Thursday. There's currently no stream on Friday because I may have a work thing. I'm not sure yet. If there isn't, turns out there isn't a work thing, I'll just double up on Rain Code because that game is very long and I would like to get through it fast. Well, not fast, but I have a lot of games to get to, basically. I want to enjoy it, but I also have a lot of games to get to, so probably will double up on it if it turns out I don't have a work thing on Friday. And then Saturday, My Friendly Neighborhood. As I said, I feel like we're about halfway through it. I haven't played the game before, so I'm not sure. But if that's what it feels like, so potentially we'll finish that on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we'll be back around to the Weekly News Recap, which is the show you're watching right now. Anyway, that's it from me for today. Thanks for anybody who's keeping me company, lurking in the background. It's always appreciated. If you want to catch up on any of those games that I mentioned, any of those Let's Plays that we're currently doing, you can find them all over on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/DoomFrame5. And if you wanted to hang out and chat about any of those games, or suggest new games to me, or just talk about random industry bullshit stuff, or give me news topics and all that kind of stuff, anything to do with the channel really, Discord, I'm DoomTrain5 on Discord. Just message me, I'll give you an invite to the channel Discord, or just find it under my face right now on the Twitch channel. You'll find it there, it's in the About section somewhere. Anyway, I should really do a better job of having that link available. We should start putting it in the YouTube description. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll be back on Tuesday with more Final Fantasy 3, and all of everything you can see on the schedule right now. All right, have a good one. See you next time. Bye bye.